We're alive. Congratulations, guys. We're alive. We're living. We are alive. We are no longer undead. The zombie period is over. We are back and ready to play more D&D.
Now, what is worth pointing out is that anybody who is paying attention to when this goes live may realize that we are approximately 2 days late. That is because we have permanently rescheduled when we are going to be playing these sessions to the Monday evening rather than the Friday evening, primarily because I have personally found that at the end of Friday, I'm often quite exhausted, whereas at the end of Monday, I've had plenty of time to rest up.
You appear to have had that problem a couple of times, and now we have Motch as well. You don't have to wait.
And now we also... Yes.
Yes, I'm not just going to sort of spawn in like 2.5 hours now. I'm actually here from the beginning.
Does this mean we
now,
can stop dragging Motch's corpse around and going, lol, strange makeup on Motch now, because she's standing there in the background looking like a zombie?
Yes, Indeed. You can all stop whipped creaming and drawing dicks on my face or whatever else.
That was pretty much what
now, it is worth pointing out, by the way, that a few sessions ago, the party did do precisely that, drawing various spectacles and bits and pieces on Reeves' face. And due to the fact that nobody has since then brought it up, and Motch, the character, the player controlling the character, has been largely absent, that's still present on Reeves' face.
Yeah, you basically look like the Joker.
Oh no, you made me Jared Leto. How could you?
Not Jared Leto. Good God, no. Jack Nicholson, please. Decent Joker. Jared Leto.
No, if we're going for tattoos that look like they were drawn in Sharpie, Jared Leto is the one.
I mean, yeah, but Jared Leto's Joker was not good. I mean, there was what's his face? The actual good Joker was what was his name? The guy that did The Knight's Tale. I forgotten his name. The dead one.
That was Brad Pitt, wasn't it?
That was not Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt has never played the Joker. God damn it! Why is my brain suddenly gone? No, you can't have access to that piece of information. Who was?
I'm not talking about Heath Ledger's, are you?
What?
Joaquin?
I'm about Joker.
Are we talking about Joaquin?
No. Although that was a good film.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Heath Ledger?
Heath Ledger, thank you. Heath Ledger's Joker.
I literally said that.
I said it louder.
I said that and you were like, what?
No, she has a point. She did say it louder.
Yep.
Oh,
you want to be recognised, get speak loud. But yeah, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Oh my fucking God. But Ez, have you watched that yet?
Dark Knight. I watched Dark Knight ages ago.
No, not Dark Knight.
Not Dark Knight.
Joker. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
I had a plan to watch it last week and that fell through. I've got it on my bookshelf. I will get round to it.
You
know what, Ez? I would be quite happy to sit down and watch that with you when I come over to yours later on this month.
I saw that
because that is among my favourite movies of all time, alongside Mary Poppins and Pacific Rim.
I watched that film at the cinema
another one
by myself, and then immediately went and grabbed my sister, who was the only person available to go and watch it with me, and we went to see it a few days later again at the cinema. I paid to go to the cinema for 3 people on 2 separate occasions.
We need to address something here.
What do we need to address?
Ginger just said that one of his favourite movies of all time is Pacific Rim.
I mean, he said Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is a surprisingly good film, even after taking into account Dick Van Dyke's Cockney accent. I just use that term loosely.
All the Cockneys in my family love it.
I like it when all the chimney sweeps are dancing across the rooftops, and the old naval guy goes, "Oh my God, what was it, Hottentots, and starts shooting at them. It's which it turns out apparently is quite a racist term. I'd never heard it before. I don't think it is. I think it's just a quirk of the of that particular
Sorry,
era.
what's a racist term?
Hottentots, apparently. Whatever.
Hottentots.
Yeah, because that's what he sees a bunch of people all blacked up dancing across the rooftop and immediately starts shooting his cannon at them, which is the correct response.
Yeah.
To an invasion by
I mean,
Chinese
yeah.
soldiers.
If I was to see a large number of shadowed silhouettes moving across rooftops, my first thought would be
Ninja.
bandits.
Ninja. Definitely ninja.
Yeah.
And yeah,
You'll never take my bicycle.
at which point you just, don your own ninja outfits and go and join them, I think. Best way forward.
Also, I just want to point out, Ez, do you somehow have a problem with Pacific Rim being one of my favorite movies?
But no, Kiki does, and she's right. Pacific Rim is it's a fun film. When no one's denying it's a fun film, but there are so many more films that fit into that sort of genre that are better than Pacific Rim.
I will agree with Trick's statement, and I will supply an example. Real Steel.
Real Steel is a good movie. However, there is a severe lack of 300-foot tall sea monsters being twatted with a boat.
You know what? That's fair. I don't think any other movie has that.
I'm very confident that there are no other movies that have 300-foot tall sea monsters being twatted with a boat.
Actually,
especially
I think
300-foot tall sea monsters being twatted by a boat wielded by a 300-foot tall robot.
I was going to say, I think they did a live action of Space Battleship Yamamoto where they essentially rammed giant space sea monsters.
Yes, but it's missing the robot.
Actually, Godzilla versus King Kong was surprisingly good for that type of stuff too. Although I personally think all Godzilla movies are less good than the original Gojira. But that's just because I'm a purist and a boomer.
When you say Godzilla versus King Kong, are you talking about the original one where Godzilla force feeds a tree, or are you talking about the more recent one?
I'm talking about the more recent one, but you're right, the original one is good too.
Yes, because now this is about to horrify everybody else listening. I've never seen either of those movies.
Oh.
I'm only aware of them through memes.
All the Godzilla movies are not as good as the original Japanese black and white dubbed. Dubbed or ideally subbed, although you can't beat dubbing for really old black and white films that are dubbed by people that didn't speak the original language and are just basically making it up as they go along. Kinda glorious. I had quite a fair bit of that with the original. Do you ever see the Monkey series?
I haven't.
Monkey is so good.
Monkey is so
I'm going
good.
to guess it's a retelling of the original Sun Wukong.
It is Sun Wukong. It is the classic journey to India to pick up the scrolls. But it was a 70s movie done by not movie, rather TV series for kids, done by the Japanese but playing the Chinese characters. It's freaking glorious, and I actually ended up with the entire DVD box set quite a few years ago.
What I have heard,
we got up to King Young.
We should watch more of that then.
What I have heard is that there is a somewhat recently produced show by the Lego Corporation, which is effectively an animated series that also retells the events of the Sun Wukong story. And apparently, and I haven't seen even a single episode of this, so I cannot say from personal experience, but apparently it's very good.
You know,
Lots
the
of
Lego
old
movies,
style slapstick humor and things of that nature.
the Lego movies are pretty decent. Well, at least the ones I've seen have all been kind of cute and funny.
Hmm.
And generally not bad. But we have digressed once again.
Yes.
Yes.
Can anyone remember what we were doing last week? For the ish.
We were
We
going
were
to do
si-
your heist.
so-
We are
Yeah,
getting ready to do the heist, yes.
We did that big performance to fund it.
We did do the performance in the pub. Yeah,
That's
right.
And you got a decent chunk of money from it, I
we
believe.
have once again got paid, and once again my Bobby has had to go and see the healing priest. To,
That's right, yes.
Generally deal out.
We're granted blessings of Anagi.
Yes. Quite.
Now, I will say that during that visit, you were not looked upon with the same level of disgust as you were when you visited the priest in the small village.
No, Inagi seems to be more of a sex and booze and generally having a good time kind of dude.
He's an Anagi as a god is far more less sex and booze and more general purpose enjoying yourself, with the acknowledgement that sex and booze is most certainly a part of enjoying yourself.
Those tend to come up. Sort of.
Like the perfect example of something that anybody can do in order to greatly appeal to the tenets of Anagi's faith is to get a whole bunch of money together and throw a street party.
Seems fair. He's the god of Notting Hill Carnival. Without the stabbings and all the robberies. So not not Notting Hill Carnival then.
No. At least not the modern incarnation of it now.
No, that really has gotten
Notting Hill Carnival 30 years ago.
Modern day. What do you mean not the modern day version of it? It's an Afro-Caribbean festival.
To be fair, in all of my years of hearing about the Notting Hill Carnival, it's always been, a bunch of people got robbed and stabbed. Again. It really hasn't changed much. It just keeps on.
A whole bunch of people get food poisoning from eating essentially bad
Wow. Hang on a moment, Kiki. Suddenly we can't understand what you're saying.
I have that problem.
I said a bunch of people get food poisoning from like bad goats.
Yep. It is generally bad.
So, what is it that you want to do first? I believe we left off the previous session with the party having effectively partied and then kind of just entered into a recovery period of sorts.
Yeah, we'd partied, we'd gone to bed, and we'd had it was the morning after now, really, wasn't it? If I remember rightly.
It was, yes. In fact, I believe the last thing that the party did prior to the ending of the previous session was Robert going and getting himself checked out.
Yeah, you know.
That was the last thing I remember.
Shagged a pair of twins, decided to go off the following morning and find a priest to brag about it to. And maybe get some healing. Because,
So,
stuff.
What I'll say is it gets to around midday, and the party has gone about whatever private business they wish to do, spending the coin that they earned the night previous in the town, gathering whatever they feel as though may be appropriate and easy to acquire with just a bit of bartering. If you have anything that comes to mind from that description, feel free to DM it to me, and so long as it's not completely outrageous, just go ahead and add it to your sheet without clearing it with me first.
I believe we'd also sent a bunch of money off to.
Yes, I believe it wasn't explicitly stated, but I imagine one of you would have gone to give your, shall we say, deposit to the funky man in the funky shop over in the other side of town.
Yeah. If nobody else was going to do that, I would have done that on my way back from the priest.
So with that said, the party has reconvened. It is approximately midday. You are in the Hogshead Inn, and there is a small platter of food and drink to your character's choice that has been provided to you on the house for the glorious concert that you provided them with the evening prior. By the way, on that point, does anybody remember what the average roll ended up being for the series of performance checks that ended up occurring on that evening?
It was in the 20s.
It was high 20s as well as like 26.
It was about 26. Yeah, we does. Yeah, I mean, you can look back. There was quite a lot of performance rolls.
Something I would like your party to start doing is tracking the final result of each of your concerts.
Okay.
And making a note of it somewhere, preferably in the party notes. That way we can get an idea as to the standard of each performance compared to each other. If memory serves, the first initial concert that you put on in Nobblesgate arrived at an average of, I think, 26.
I think it's 26 and 24 spring to mind. I think those are probably the two basics we've got. So far. I'll make the note.
Okay. So, we'll start off with directly addressing the people who tend not to get much talking done. So, Coatrack. What is it that the Essig would be doing during this initial period?
The initial period before, is this before or during the issue?
Well, I'm talking about the party knows that there's going to be something happening either in the coming day or possibly in the current afternoon. However, there is some relative downtime for your characters to split off and do their own thing, if necessary. Is there anything specific that Essig would do, or would he just simply hang around with whatever other people are doing?
Probably join in with what other people are doing, if there's anything even slightly interesting any of them are up to.
Okay. Bear in mind, everybody, this is basically me giving you the opportunity to say, hey, I want to do this thing. Everybody follow me.
Ah.
So, that said, if there is nothing, then I will move on to Ez.
I might bring up something later, but for now, move on.
Is there anything that's... Go on.
I think just enjoy the food that's being provided, and try and track down a good bit of drink to go with it.
Right, well, you are staying in an inn that is part bar, so you can absolutely acquire some decent drinks to go with the food provided. The food provided being of a relatively good quality, by the way, standard full English style affair with fried all sorts of stuff, really.
Does he still have any of that desert drink? And can I convince anyone else to partake in it again?
Nope, not again. Not in the middle of the day.
He does absolutely have some more of that desert drink. And when you inquire about it, the The barman looks at you, concerned.
Okay, but is he willing to serve?
You can, without needing to roll for insight, you can tell that he wants to say no, but will if you insist.
I will insist.
Okay. The once cheery and smiling man who you can tell under normal circumstances will be quite happy to get into all sorts of trouble serving drinks to his patrons, reluctantly retrieves the small flask that has a kind of rounded bottom with a narrowing tip and brings it over to you with a shot glass and looks at you and says, "Are you sure, mate?
I know
It's a bit early for this kind of thing, don't you think?"
Had a fun night before. I think I deserve it.
All right. And he pours several thick, glooping drops of the vile liquid into the, shot glass, and then says, "That'll be a gold piece."
I'll pass him the gold piece.
Okay,
And
go
then
ahead and mark that off your sheet.
Yeah, have done. And then I'll take a good, strong drink from it.
Okay. Due to your dwarven constitution, you have advantage on constitution saving throws against poisonous effects. Go ahead and make me a constitution saving throw, the DC of which is 15. And you passed. Barely.
A pass is a pass. I'll take it.
As was the case last time you imbibed some of this fluid, you feel as it has a slight numbing effect as it passes over the various surfaces, leading down through the mouth and along the esophagus into the stomach. Shortly afterwards, you begin to feel the synesthesia-like effect set in, with you suddenly having the potential to see the sounds being made around you and simultaneously hear the colors and the lights of the various surfaces and light sources around you. At the same time, I was just going to say, at the same time, you once again begin to feel that sense that in addition to this duplication and spreading of sensual awareness, you are also able to feel as though that there is some extra level of perception sneaking in that you only have to tune into to be able to experience fully.
I will attempt to tune into it whilst pulling out some paper and ink and attempt to jot down the music that I hear in sounds and colours, etc.
Okay. Now, tell me honestly, does Cardgar have an inherent knowledge of musical notation, or is he more of a self-taught kind of fella?
Well, he has some bardic training, but he also is trained in the Song of Creation. So I'd say those things should be able to combine to something interesting.
Okay. As you begin to tune into specifically trying to listen and experience these extrasensory experiences, you begin to get an understanding as to how this kind of thing works. Whereas with the mortal understanding of music, that which one may be familiar with from people in real life listening to their favorite band. There are patterns to it. There are certain timings and such. However, there are also aspects to what you're listening to that simply do not fall in line with the expectations of what you would normally listen to, and instead seem to form their own separate overlaying of to call it sound wouldn't be quite right. It's more like a sixth sense, if you will. It's inherent to the very nature of having a psyche. And as a result, it feels as though trying to translate what you are, quote unquote, hearing into a format that can be read to have an understanding of the quote unquote sound would be to do what you are experiencing a disjustice. However, you give it your best shot. Roll me a check to see what you're able to achieve.
Any particular check?
A check of your choice. Justify the roll and the skill.
I would like to use performance because I'm trying to capture and replicate what I'm hearing.
Okay, so you're using your understanding of how to do a performance in order to try and translate what you are hearing and experiencing now into something that could be transmitted.
Yeah, or replicated later.
Okay. Go ahead.
26.
That's quite good.
It is.
Aye. The rest of you see as Cardgar seemingly enter into a trance-like state. A few of you wave your hand in front of his face with seemingly not even the vaguest hint of a response from his eyes, as they are seemingly fixated onto the paper that has this bizarre scrawling being put across it. A series of symbols that don't quite seem to make sense to any of you capable of understanding language. And the end result is that after around 5 or 6 minutes of watching these glyphs, symbols, almost it looks like it has a structure, but that structure is alien in how it is perceived. And by the time you see he has finished filling out this piece of paper and seemingly returns to his conventional senses, Cardgar, the information that you were able to perceive on this paper looks as though you have spent the last several minutes writing down information that you feel as though means something, but you are not capable of understanding what it means in the current state of being and perception as you are right now. You feel as though you require that additional level of perception granted by whatever this substance is to be able to draw meaning from what you've written down.
Might sound like my
However, there is a very distinct thought that you have in your head, and that effectively is that whatever this says, it's pretty fucking important, and you should definitely keep hold of it.
Can I Can I have a look at that, please? And whilst I'm doing it, I just want to, if I remember rightly, I have the ability. I just need to make sure. Yes, I do. I can. In fact, I will cast the ritual. Comprehend languages.
Okay. You gain the ability to understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear. You also understand any written language that you see, but you must be touching the surface on which the words are written. Takes about 1 minute to read a page of text. All right, okay.
I did all this out in the open, so I'm not going to stop him.
I imagine not. Right, so
Now,
Robert,
it is that I would understand it. It wouldn't be a specifically the words, are like English to me. But
yes, you would understand what the literal meaning of what has been written is. And as you go over this page of text, as you slowly allow the magical cipher that you have just imprinted into your mind to begin working through whatever this otherwise nonsensical script may mean, you are able to parse some meaning from it. And to try and put it into conventional words as a direct translation is not something that any mortal mind is capable of. However, you do manage to figure out that this appears to be almost like a recipe of sorts.
okay.
It appears to be a recipe. Not an instruction manual, definitely a recipe for something related to the astral sea. It could be this could be how one would create a pocket dimension, or perhaps how one would locate a specific pocket dimension and go to it, or something along those lines. You're able to draw the literal meaning, but there is linguistic context that you are missing out on to achieve the true meaning of the center of what you're looking at.
Okay. I'm going to go, dude. Whatever you just wrote here is kind of heavy, man. This is like dimension shifting spell tier stuff. This is wild.
Well, you understand it?
The gist of it, yeah. Yeah, but don't ask me to make what's in there. But this is like cookery for magicians and, high level wizards and warlocks and shit. This is proper astral plane tier. Whoa, wildness, man.
To put this into a context that is easily understood for people above board, this is roughly the equivalent of looking over a recipe for a foodstuff written in Japanese and recognizing things like, well, that says onion, and that's a number, and that one kind of looks like a stovetop, maybe. Could be a Japanese gate. Who knows?
I take it back from Bobby and look at it, turning it this way and that, and scratching my head. Said, I can't make head or tails of it. Fancy writing the translation down?
Nope. I don't think there's any translation there. I think we need to take this to someone that knows.
I look around the room and see if anyone has any suggestions.
I don't know. Where do we find some kind of weed wizard?
I don't know. This isn't my hometown.
Can I roll insight
monkeys.
for where Weed Wizard would be?
That wouldn't be insight. That would be a history check.
May I roll history?
Go ahead.
Do I historically know weed wizards in Volpac?
You know that the Grand Menagerie, one of the three major universities of Volpac City, often have incursions and exploratory expeditions to the various planes of existence. Some of which are recorded and made available for public perusal, some of which are considered classified information. you suspect that if there's going to be anyone in the city that could make heads or tails of what you've written here, well, you're probably able to be pointed in the right direction if you go that way.
All right. Well, I'll mention this, saying the wizards around here might be able to help us, but I know you've got your thing that you want us to crack on with, Bobby, don't you?
Well, we'll be waiting for them to get in touch with us to say that everything's in place. At which point, yeah, we've got business to get on with. But in the meantime, we ain't got nothing but some time to kill. And this could be wild shit, man. Just saying.
No, if we've got time, we've got time. But I don't want to get in the way of your thing. That's all I'm saying.
Well, no, we've got. As I said, I dropped the cash off. He's going to let us know when we can find people to make a meeting, and after that, well, then we've got to see if we can't make some money. Not to mention we've got a big concert to put on and so on, or sort out. We've got things to do, but this is. If there's people here that can tell us about it, it's probably worth knowing. Information being power and all that.
Speaking of information, a little bit of extra info that you will find useful. When you dropped off the initial investments to the Thieves Guild,
Yep.
You were informed that they do have something that's coming up that they should be able to point in your direction. However, they will give you more information once they can nail down the details. And until then, expect someone to come and find you in the next 48 or so hours.
Okay, that's what I figured. Have you seen how much we've dropped off? Is in the notes.
Yes, and in fact, when you dropped off that amount of money, the man in the Thieves Guild place gave you a big smile and gave you a look that you could understand to be a look of assurance that this amount of money will do you well.
Good. Right.
So,
we've also got a gig to do with what was it, Tom and Molly?
Indeed, the Cranley trading company.
Yeah, Viper.
You were able to encounter a son and daughter combo who had come to the performance and offered to
yes,
a brother and sister.
Ah,
yeah, the brother and sister that Kiki's Piper charmed, basically, with it's a glamour, isn't it? Your school of glamour stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah. Whilst she pulled the brother and sister, she then didn't do the bard thing of trying to shag them, and instead got invited to for us to do a private gig for them.
Speaking of, I managed to track down some disgusting AI artwork that effectively should give you some vague idea as to the kind of individuals that you were looking at.
Excellent.
It should be pretty obvious which one's Tom and which one's Molly.
Okay.
Speaking of, Tom looks a bit dour.
Yeah.
Speaking of AI artwork and filth, I would like, while we're wandering around, to find a printers that can produce me several hundred copies of this poster.
Jesus Christ, Kiki, what have you done? Is that right, Motch? I was wondering why the face looked vaguely familiar.
Ah.
Tom Hiddleston, eh? Hang on, let me look that up.
Where's that one image where it's like Tom Hiddleston, Tom Holland, and Benedict Cumberbatch, where the post was just like, "There's not one top lip in this whole image." It's the phenotype.
Oh, Tom Holland. Why didn't you just say Loki?
Yeah,
I can kind of
I
see
see it
that.
now, yeah.
Especially with this image here that I've just found.
Okay,
There we
so
go.
that's, yeah. I found one.
Yeah, the resemblance.
Then, so there's that, and yeah, it really is him, damn.
Well, I suppose AI has to draw its inspiration from existing images, and I suppose that one drew rather heavily from a single source.
Yes, is there a printers that I can get this done while we're exploring the city?
Yes, there is. You would absolutely be able to find such a place. What you end up going to is effectively a magical news agent of sorts. Magical in the sense that they have equipment that is magically enhanced for the purposes of being easily malleable into various states. If you would pass that through a deep fry filter and then make it into black and white, well, that might give you a decent idea as to what the final result would be.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yes, you are absolutely are able to get such a thing sorted. And how many copies do you want?
300.
300, right. Roll me a persuasion check to see if you can manage to get them to bring the cost down a little.
I mean, it is for charity.
It is, but they are not themselves a charity. This is
Where's
a news
persuasion
agent
then?
we're dealing
Kiki,
with.
your character should have plenty of persuasion.
I know, but I lost it.
Apparently, you do have plenty of persuasion. It takes a bit of haggling and a bit of finagling and a more than a bit of just bald-faced lying, but you are able to get them to work their prices down to just 7 gold pieces for the full 300-piece batch.
Perfect. I shall hand it over and shake their hand and reassure them that they've done a good service to a good cause today.
Are we fly posting this? Wouldn't it be a good idea for you to just give them a little demonstration, say for a minute or two, of the sort of performances that they would be, protecting with this assistance, and see if that might make them even more conducive to help you?
We could do, but I'm going to save that one.
Fair enough. Do you only get that once a day or something?
I don't think it is once a day.
I thought that was pretty much you can play for a minute and then people.
It is. It's as many times as we like.
Oh, dear Christ. What exactly are you about to do to these poor, poor journalists?
Nothing. I'm paying them their 7 gold.
Kiki, you could have them telling everyone
Why aren't you?
the wonders.
Why aren't you doing? Why aren't you giving these poor, poor journalists the just desserts they deserve?
They're journalists. They're journalists.
Look, because I understand the plight of the journalists and I have to work with them fairly regularly.
What do you mean, understand the plight of the journalist? The plight?
I understand why they deserve the plight.
Yeah, the blight, maybe. I understand the plight of the journalist. Fine. fine. Be nice to them.
So yes, mark those 7 gold pieces off, which, by the way, it would have been approximately twice that, or even more, if you'd rolled low. So you've managed to get a pretty fucking great deal with that. And I will say that you effectively coerced them with bad press if they fail to live up to your expectations.
Well, I don't know if Kiki's actually at the keyboard right at the present moment. She might have just nipped to the look.
Righto.
But she
So,
has
what
her
do?
fly posting.
Oh yes, it is worth pointing out they won't be able to be done immediately. That's something that they'll have to do when they next change over their utensils. So
Okay.
it'll take a little while for that to come through. They gave you an estimate of at the end of the week. So, with that said, Motch, you're in the big city. Reeve is probably a little bit overwhelmed by the fact that he's in the big city. Is there anything specific that you're going to want to try and do?
I think most of Reeve's focus is going to be on not getting hopelessly lost. He's never been in an environment bigger than the one town he's always grown up in. So everything's a little bit oh god, where am I? Have I seen this street before? Am I staying with the group? Am I not wandering off? I think that's going to be his main motivation.
Well, if you don't have anything else to do, I have decided that my plans for the time break is a crime spree.
Oh, fun.
Really?
Yes.
What did you have in mind?
I had in mind specifically. Well, the important part is number one, to set up a scapegoat. So, to start, I'm going to use the image of that dwarf that we beat the shit out of before.
Okay.
Ah.
He will be the decoy while I rob people.
He is quite the rapscallion-looking fellow, so it would be easy to convince people that he was such a ne'er-do-well.
Yes. In the meantime, while using that, I'm fully capable of adding invisibility to myself. While I pickpocket people.
Okay, so what exactly are you going to do here? Explain.
Okay, so first I use the which spell was that again that I could do that with? Shit. I was thinking of a different spell that I don't think I have. Wait, no,
right.
Okay, no, I'm gonna slightly change my plans here with how I was gonna approach it.
Righto.
Alright, so anyway, first I want to go to an area with relatively few witnesses.
That's easy enough to find. There are somewhat secluded areas where there are people just sitting around enjoying a light lunch. You would expect that in any given time, in any given spot in these kinds of areas, that there would be no more than 30 eyes potentially capable of looking at you. You are, however, in a big city. That's about as good as you can do for low witness counts without invading someone's private space.
That's fine. Can I be around the area where the fight took place?
With the scum dwarf?
Yes.
You can absolutely be around that area. In fact, that would take you to somewhere nearby where the Thieves Guild is.
Huh. Alright. By any chance do I happen to see Scumdorf himself? Just figured I might as well ask that.
Roll. Give me a
Alright.
D10. If
A
you
D10?
get a 3 or lower, you spot him. Oh, look!
I found him.
There he is. Now roll me a D2. If you roll a 1, he sees you as you spot him. If you roll a 2, he hasn't spotted you yet.
Let me double check a part of that description. Yeah, fine. I'll just roll it. Yeah, anyway, there you go.
As you spot him, yours and his eyes connect, and you see as you see as what little skin is visible on his face immediately turns white as a sheet.
Ah, excellent. I'm gonna walk straight up to him.
He is. I'll describe his current circumstances. He is standing at the entrance to an alleyway, conversing with another dwarf, a woman who looks to be somehow slightly shorter than he is. And as this happens, you see as the woman catches on his face this 1,000-yard stare. As she looks around, she spots you making your way over and bolts. She's fucking gone. You get the impression that she may have heard stories, and that you now have a reputation that precedes you with this particular man and his immediate social circle.
Ah.
He,
Well, actually,
however,
yeah.
has adopted much of the same self-preservation strategy as a deer in headlights.
Well, this is perfect. So this will be even easier than my initial crime plans. I'm just gonna tell him to give me his money.
Roll me intimidation.
Indeed.
You have advantage for reasons that I would suspect don't need to be explained.
25.
Oh Christ! Yep, he says in Dwarvish,
Which I do understand.
I don't got anything.
Then I suggest you come back with something.
All right. He takes a cautious step away from you. Do you do anything as he takes the cautious step away? His eyes continue to be locked on you as he does so.
I'll take a step towards him.
He runs. He
Same place.
bolts around the corner. You stay in place?
No, I was saying out loud. Same place tomorrow.
Right, okay. And you shout this over to him in Dwarvish, do you?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know.
Wait, sorry, in Dwarvish you said? No. Sorry, I can understand Dwarvish. Okay, I can assume everyone knows Common, right?
Typically, yes.
We've spoken to him in Common, actually. I'm sure of that. During the thing, other people who didn't speak Dwarvish talked to him.
When during the previous encounter, you noted that he does speak in Common, but with a very thick and almost broken accent.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I just say it to him.
You don't get a response. You just see that he bolts around the corner and has seemingly vanished. Do you stick around or do you move on?
I move on.
Okay.
I am going to head off in the direction that his companion went. I'm not expecting to actually find her. I just want to see what's off in that direction.
Righto. Well, when she bolted, she went in. She effectively ran down the street away from you, and she did get a few eyes looking at between her and you that didn't seem to have any kind of reasonable level of recognition. You get the impression that people were just suddenly very confused as to why this dwarven woman was suddenly sprinting for no good reason.
Okay.
As
Listen.
an elven bard, you don't put off the most obviously intimidating vibes.
Excellent. Now, conveniently, it hasn't exactly been that long. So, off in that direction, I'm going to use Minor Illusion using his voice to say, "It's alright, I scared him off," in Dwarvish.
Oh. That's mean. Give me a moment. You use minor illusion to produce this voice, and in doing so, you see a few eyes move in your direction, seemingly looking in your direction, but not directly at you, looking more so for the source of this suddenly loud dwarven voice. Roll me a performance check.
All right, and so I just need to double check what that fancy new thing I have is. What?
This is for trying to be convincing with your deceptions. It's a 27. You guys are rolling rather well today. I think the lowest roll so far has been the lowest roll so far has been Cardgar's Constitution save, which amounted to a 16, which was still a pass.
Mm-hmm. Things what we're dealing with is characters that are all trying desperately to make sure that they keep on using their charisma rolls.
Yes.
And all of us have got like +6, +8, +9 to those
Uh-huh.
rolls.
A terrifying level 3 party.
Yes.
So, as you roll a 27, you are able to create a sound that is near identical to what you remember him speaking in the day previous. And as you do so, you think to yourself, well, for this to be convincing, you're going to have to produce this noise after concealing your presence. After all, it wouldn't make sense for somebody of your height in a dwarven city to able to be concealed just through the natural crowd. So you crouch down a little bit in order to remove your height difference from the equation, and soon afterwards see a dwarven woman make her way into your immediate vicinity, who takes one look at you and says, "Oh, shite!" and turns on her heel. I'll give you the opportunity to do something, but she is moving away from you and at speed again.
I'm going to. Well, okay. First off, I was waiting. They were in an alley, weren't they, or the edge of an alley?
The entranceway to an alleyway, yes.
Right. So she would have had to go to the entrance of the alley to see me.
Correct. She's, for reference, she is for the next for the next several seconds within reach of you potentially taking a swipe at her or something to that effect. She is just barely within touching distance.
Well, okay. First off, if I say halt, does she stop? Just as like a split-second thing.
No, and since that's what you said you're going to do, you shout halt. Is it in Dwarven or Common?
Dwarven.
Yeah. You shout halt, and she doesn't stop even for a moment. She's.
All right.
I would say she's in fight or flight, but no, there's definitely all flight here.
All right. In which case, I'll start pursuing and demanding she tell me everything about him.
Right. Okay. Now, just for reference,
yes,
you are in a relatively busy market street. If you had to guess, at any point in time, you are within arm's reach of at least 5 or 6 people.
All right.
To give you an idea as to the crowd density here.
I'm going to yell about how he stole my money.
Right. A few people see as you go through this. You see as people seemingly get out of your way, and at least one dwarf looks to you and says, in Dwarven, words to the effect of, "Go on, go get him." You can tell that there's a very small amount of confusion when when one person spots that you're chasing a woman, and you said he stole my money.
Well, I'm saying it to
that
her.
definitely-
No, I'm saying it to her, not at other people. Like, interspersed with "tell me who he is," like where he's hiding. That like that.
The
Where is
the
it? He
low
stole my money.
context-
Like that. Like that. It's like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty
Fair,
minimal
okay,
context, but not that weird but not quite as obviously suspicious as that.
Fair, okay, fair. As you do so, you see as she seemingly isn't interested in whatever excuses that you are trying to throw at her to make her slow down. She continues to try and get away from her, but you are able to tell that seemingly she is a dwarf. Dwarves have a 25-foot run speed, and there is not sufficient crowd density to provide a diminishing effect to your own run speed. You suspect that it will take a few seconds, but you will catch her at some point soon.
You're an elf. You've got what, 40?
I think they have normal. Yeah, just 30.
It's just 30.
Yeah,
but,
just
okay.
30.
Okay, so she's got 50 run or 50 sprint. You've got 60 sprint. So every 6 seconds you're gaining 10 foot on her.
Indeed.
Yeah. As I say, it only takes a few seconds for you to be within arm's reach of her, and I will say, we are effectively splitting seconds here to determine what you are doing at any given moment.
Right.
You get within reach where you strongly suspect that if you tried, you could grab onto her clothes. What do you do with that information?
I'll do a more less outright aggressive hand on shoulder, while saying, "Hold up, I just need some information on the guy who stole my money."
Okay. Roll me persuasion.
Sounds good.
I will warn you, you'll have to roll high for this one.
19.
And you roll sufficiently high. She turns around. She is trembling to the touch. She is genuinely scared of you. But she doesn't scream. Instead, she just shouts, "What the fuck do you want?"
I need to know where he hides out. He stole my money yesterday.
I ain't telling you shit. I see what you did to him.
Oh. Yeah, okay. It just took me a second to realize what in the world she could mean by that, because all I did was mental trauma. I should assume she's talking about the facial hair.
Yeah, the facial hair, the noteworthy content of blood that came pouring out of his every facial orifice. There's probably a missing tooth there somewhere. He was not in a good state that you left him in.
I mean, it was mental damage, probably didn't knock out a tooth.
You reduced him to precisely 0 hit points via psychic damage.
Yes.
That translates to that translates to physical trauma.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Low level physical trauma, but physical trauma. But yeah, she is, you could tell from the look on her face that at this very moment, she is pure 50-50 on whether or not she is going to redouble her efforts to get away from you or kick you in the crotch and then redouble her efforts to get away from you. You have moments with this person at this given time.
Are you really so stupid as to not answer my questions? That is a cantrip.
That's an intimidation.
No, it is vicious mockery.
Really? Okay.
It is an insult.
Go ahead and roll me your damage.
stupid slash thing. Anyway. So,
Give me a moment. Okay. You what is your spell save DC? Don't mind me asking.
15.
15. Yeah, she rolled a 16, unfortunately. I rolled it with a physical dice. Just for the sake of brevity.
Oh, you did
want me
after I
to-
rolled the damage? Gotcha.
Yeah. Do you want me to roll publicly from here on out?
I mean, as long as I'll trust you.
Right, okay.
DM
So-
doesn't have to roll publicly, it's totally DM's choice.
Well, he doesn't have to, but he got just offered.
Yes. If you're willing to let it be up to my judgment, then yes, I will roll publicly when I feel it's necessary. I will roll privately when I feel as though it is appropriate. But yes, she turns around and gives you the middle finger before saying, not in Dwarvish but in Common, "Fuck off, you knife-eared prick."
I see this entire race is irredeemable.
I'm just going to be AFK for a few minutes. I've got to make myself a cup of coffee.
At this point, you are still in the middle of the street, and it has been sufficient time for several people to have their attention drawn upon the pair of you.
Yep.
A quick glance to the immediate vicinity tells you that unless something de-escalates very quickly, people are going to start stepping into the scenario of a man apparently bothering a woman literally twice her height.
Thinking it out, Essig decides to say, "Fine, keep covering for him. I'll investigate myself." And he walks away.
As you do, you peek over your shoulder and you see that the woman is shocked. She wasn't expecting that. She was clearly expecting you to continue harassing her. And you hear her mutter something under her breath as she turns around and makes her way in the diametrically opposed direction from the way you are currently walking.
I've still accomplished my most important main objective of that.
Which was?
Well, now this woman he hangs out with doesn't trust his voice.
That much is very true. So, you've managed to freak out a man that you effectively put through public humiliation, and you've managed to really piss off what you can only presume to be a friend and or confidant of his. There are a variety of people who are now looking at you, but for the most part, as you continue to make your way through the crowd, both with and against the flow of foot traffic, you soon find that you are not quite able to slip out into the crowd, but nobody seems to be going out of their way to try and stop you from making your way away from the situation. You suspect that people aren't going to come and have a go at you, shall we say?
Yeah.
With that said, what do you do next?
Let's see. I mean, once the
There are plans
the
for a
ne- the-
crime street.
yeah, well, yes, indeed. I suppose the important part is I know that guy is not around here anymore, which is the important thing for my next plan.
Uh-huh.
And the spell that I thought I had and then forgot I had and now remember that I had.
Is this minor illusion by chance?
No, I knew I had that and I've used it already. Silent image.
Ah, silent image. Right. Go
Yeah.
on, explain to me your plans.
Okay, this time I'm actually actively going into back alleys specifically, like
Okay.
yeah, around that area. I'm gonna see if I can find anyone who's alone or maybe just in a pair.
Roll me a d4.
Okay.
As you walk along down the street, you use your height advantage to look over the crowd of predominantly dwarven heads and are able to peer down the various alleyways going along your left and right. And shortly enough, you're able to find a smattering of 3 individuals that are, well, they're definitely shorter than you, but besides that, you're not really able to make out much detail from the small concealments of vague darkness that they have to their advantage, given that they are halfway down an alleyway.
Do I hear him talking?
No, the bustle of the street that you are in overpowers anything that you may be able to hear their hushed voices saying.
Hmm.
It
So I
is,
can't even
however,
tell
safe
what
to
race they
say-
are. Sorry, what? Safe to say what?
I'm gonna give you 2 pieces of info. First of all, you are not able to guarantee, but at the very least strongly suspect that they are on the shorter side of things. It's
Okay.
possible that there might be someone of a higher stature simply crouched over, but these are either halflings, gnomes, or dwarves, or possibly some other less common short-statured race.
All right. Well, that's quite easy then. And by that's quite easy, I mean it's quite an easy decision that I'm going to leave them alone. There's 3
Fair
of them.
enough.
But before I leave
So
them alone, I will, just to continue causing problems for that one dwarf, a distance away from them, I'm going to put a silent image of the dwarf. Yeah, like kind of like peeking around a corner at them. Like he's peeking around at them.
Just to be clear, silent image, the spell slot spell, or are you thinking of? Okay.
Yeah, the one that I can actually make an entire person out of visually.
Okay, so you use silent image to create a rendition of the asshole dwarf peeking through and doing what exactly? Remember, this image can be animated if you so please.
Oh. Gonna kind of like gesture a come over here, and then I'll use my minor illusion cantrip to have him actually say that. Hey guys, come over here in Dwarvish.
A good combination of spells.
Yes.
As you do so, you see as one of the individuals looks in the direction of the minor illusion and begins making his way over, with the other 2 also standing to attention but refusing to make their way over. You see him, you see whoever this individual is approach, and seemingly with a look of vague recognition in his face, approach without much in the way of hostility.
The silent image leans around the corner, like he was gonna lead him on, and once he's out of view, I dispel it.
Okay.
That is all for my crime spree. Oh, sorry, what?
As you do so, you see as the individual makes their way around the corner, revealing themselves to be what appears to be a possibly a short human, maybe a slim dwarf. It's a bit ambiguous. But in either case, they do make their way around that corner, and they are immediately confused. They could have sworn that the man that they were able to recognize on sight was there but a moment earlier, and now has seemingly vanished.
Does he go back, or does he go back, or what?
You see him look around a little bit. Definitely a furrowed brow of what the hell. And then shrugs and heads back on inside.
Okay, one more minor illusion from that direction, like using the voice again. Ha! Made you look, cunt! In Dwarvish again. Using that guy's voice.
The the guy that you tricked the first time looks back at your illusion, gives what you recognize to be a dwarven equivalent to a middle finger, which effectively amounts to a three match. It's basically just a thumbs up, but with the pinky finger extended, and follows it up with a "yeah, fuck you too."
Good. Now that guy finds him annoying. Alright, job done.
Excellent. Essig, the knife-eared nuisance, strikes again.
That's what he gets for throwing a stone at my head.
What he gets for throwing a stone at your head? A near-death experience, trauma, and a ruined social life.
Yes.
Cruel and unusual punishments all around.
Something unusual.
No, there's definitely cruel there as well. You saw the state that he left the poor guy in.
I mean, true.
Right, with that said, we have been following the misadventures of Essig for a while now. Is there anything that anybody else would like to do?
Well, if we've got the time, I'd like us to go visit the wizard people. Would you call it the menagerie?
Indeed. The
See if
menagerie
we do
is...
anything with the translation trick it has.
Okay.
Does anyone want to come along?
I will join you for that one, seeing as I'm the only person that can actually read your mad scribblings.
I might also join. I'm quite interested to see where this goes.
All right, Motch, do you want to come along?
Reeve will very much follow along if that's where the group is going.
I've also seen the wonders that have drawn this inspiration. And while I haven't drawn from them myself, I have an appreciation for them.
Oh, Kiki, did you get the message that the flyers would be a few days?
Yeah, I know I didn't have it at the time, but can I half and half split them with my other poster?
Sure. That's easy enough to retroactively do. I just want to say, Gigi, the fact that you are using what effectively amounts to real government assets to produce this, that's just perfect. I love that so much. Take a DM inspiration.
Thank you.
Like that is a level of extra effort that I did not expect from this campaign. That is epic.
That's. I'm just going to put the new one up there. These are pretty damn decent flyers.
Oh my god. Yeah. You've definitely done a good job in making this charity of yours seem legit. In fact, the only thing that you haven't done is actually get it registered.
I know. That's something I would like to do today at some point. but
Righto.
I need to go to the
Well-
council offices and do that. Yeah,
When you
Well-
say you're registered, are you talking in the game or in real life?
in the game.
In the game.
Fair enough.
How about
We'll do
we
this with the
say
pink note.
that in that period at the beginning of the session where Robert was getting cleansed and other people had the opportunity to go do boring stuff off camera, that's when you went and got the charity registered.
Fantastic. How does payment work for that? Do people make a payment to charity at the local city office and or in local stores, and it goes to the city offices and then it's distributed back to us?
In terms of how the money flows, effectively, your charity, once it has been registered, can go through two paths. The registration can either be expedited for a gold cost, or it can be done so on a slower basis. However, in either case, there are certain activities that are now permitted now that the registration process has been commenced. For
Right.
example, the small-scale gathering of funds, that is permitted, even if you go through the slow process, but you won't be able to use the government assets to book venues and things of that nature until the process has been completed. Besides that, though, the only other thing that you really need to do is just report any earnings that the charity makes to the government office for the purposes of ensuring that it is in fact not for profit and things of that nature.
Yeah, and what would be the gold cost of setting it up properly?
You've been going through the expedition,
Yeah.
expedited process. That would be 20 gold pieces.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Right, sir. In that case, once the money is handed over, you are basically told it will be sorted by the end of the day. Until that point, feel free to make any bookings for things that would require a fully fledged charity, just so long as they aren't due for the end before the end of the day.
Right, but we can do large-scale fundraising now with things like, for example, charity concerts.
Yes, so long as that concert is booked in to occur more than 24 hours from the point of registration.
Perfect. Anyway, wizard thing.
Yes. Before we get to that, I need to go piss. So feel free to discuss exactly what you're going to be doing with that. I should be back shortly. Oh, and before I go, is everybody good to go till about 1 o'clock this morning?
I feel work in the morning.
Yeah.
I think I'd be happy to go 2 more hours.
Yeah, it's gonna
I could definitely do at least 2 more hours. Like 2 to 2.5 more hours is what I can do.
I can probably do one. I can do one and then I've got to head off because I've got a long day tonight.
Me too, but thankfully I'm working from home.
I also have work tomorrow, but we have a menu tasting, so I get to show up 2 hours before my shift's meant to start, but they give me free food for it, so I can't complain.
Nice.
I mean, you can very much complain, given you said last time they gave out free food, everyone got ill.
No, that was the staff food. On Saturdays, they won't make us food. They just make a big tray of everything and go, if you want food, you're getting that. We're not making you specific stuff. Every other day of the week, if you're working a long shift, you can just order whatever you want from the regular menu. Well, they do like a cheapskate version of it, but yeah, the Saturday staff food is always grim. It is always just, yeah, we've got these ingredients that are going to go off next week, so we're just making whatever. It was lasagna this week, and 5 people got ill, and I was fascinated. As someone who always never gets the staff food, I felt slightly vindicated.
Winning?
I'm currently doing the event planning equivalent of passport checking at the moment. I'm going through all of the health and safety documentation and imagining that I'm playing Papers, Please.
Is this in person, or is this in real life, Kiki, or is this in game?
Yeah. No. This is in real life. It's incredibly dull, and it's like very long.
The thing is, don't you always lose at that game eventually? Like there is no winning.
Getting a drink.
I think so. But at least in real life, I get to determine how complicated the paperwork is, rather than the game determining it.
Yeah, I will say from the I am very much simplifying everything that's regarding the bureaucracy of what you've had to deal with in game. This is Varpak is very much a bureaucrat friendly location.
Yeah. Now worry not, Ginge. I have no interest in sitting there and role playing through the intimacies of each and every form and profit loss margins and everything that I would normally be going through in a standard work day. I've come home and started playing D&D to avoid that.
Yes, this is a fantasy setting where bureaucracy only exists in theory. So, with all that said, getting to the central region of the city where the three major universities are located is actually a surprisingly easy affair. Literally, the only complication is that as you make your way in that direction, you are eventually forced to make your way through a gate, a checkpoint of sorts, similar to the one that you originally passed through when you were going from the market district to the tourism district. However, this time people are actually being turned away on occasion. There is a small queue of around 15 to 20 individuals. It's possible that some of them are paired up with one another, and generally speaking, you would estimate that about half of them are being told to go away and come back. It's unclear as to precisely why, but as you step into the crowd, into the queue, you can hear you can hear the rustling of papers and things of that nature as you make your way forwards. You get the impression that perhaps getting into the central university region of the city is it has some requirements, though you're not entirely sure what those requirements may be. What do you all do with that information? As of right now, everybody is present except for Essig, as he's gone to find the dwarf to bully, whilst you all have gone to this central university region, unless you all explicitly waited for him to return first.
I think
I thought other people did other things too.
Not as far as I'm aware. The other things were done in the early morning.
Wait, when did I do what I did?
Well, I suppose in the early morning then. So everybody's present. Excellent.
Yeah.
No splitting the party.
Cool.
So,
could I do either an insight or a history to see if maybe I might have some understanding of the bureaucracy in the papers, so maybe we can prepare?
Sure. Go ahead and roll me a history check.
17.
With a 17, you are able to recall that effectively there are two ways to be able to get into the central university region. The first is having a pre-prepared what effectively amounts to invitation into the region. Like a signed letter from a noteworthy member of one of the universities, or a general passport of sorts. Something along those lines. Something that basically states, I am explicitly permitted to enter here as proof. The other methodology is for is for any given individual to effectively just look the part. For example, there are uniforms that you are able to see certain individuals wearing, and as they pass through the gate, it appears as though those people aren't even vaguely challenged. They just simply waltz on through, and not even so much as a second glance is given to them upon doing so.
So what, like Harry Potter robes?
Yeah, somewhere along those lines. Yeah. Not
do we-
explicitly wizard-like in nature, but somewhere along the lines of robes.
Oh, guys, do we want to try and do a disguise or a blag?
Flag? Sorry, I
Well,
don't know what that means.
Black, a con,
oh.
a fake out, a
Ah,
The reason I say that is because if I know about these forms, then maybe I have one. Just saying.
As far as disguises are concerned, I have one disguise in terms of outfits and the whole thing, and that is of Donald Stoutman, the businessman that I'll be using to do my con. I
Yeah,
don't.
but that's just a matter of going to a shop and buying material.
No, I've already got that. It's part of my my
No, I
backpack.
mean for these.
This stuff. If you want, we could try to
Well-
bareface our way in or whatever. But
What race is the guy at the door?
Dwarven, and the man in question appears to be of a rather important looking stature, in fact. You've seen a variety of both human and dwarven guards standing at the various portcullises, checkpoints, and things of that nature that divide up the city into the 4 segments that it exists in, the central one and the 3 going off radially. However, this is the first individual that you have seen to be wearing a suit of armor that appears to be solid gold plate mail.
That sounds very heavy.
it's
I
very,
would like-
very ineffective as well. Does anyone have heat
Well, that's
metal?
why I
Perhaps we
say-
can melt him down.
Yeah, I would
Any-
like while we are working this out and while people are trying to argue their case, to pull out a. I've got some instruments that are less aggressive than bagpipes.
That's any instrument.
I'm,
Yes, pretty much.
I'm gonna pull out my pan flute, and I'm going to play something gentle that's kind of fades into the background, but is definitely there and people can hear.
Okay. So you just play a little ditty on the pipes.
Mm-hmm.
Say for a minute or two.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, as you begin playing this music, you are able to slowly make your way forwards in this relatively short queue. And as you approach, you eventually get to the point where you are actively being interrogated. And the man in the dwarven man in the what appears to be solid gold plate mail steps forward and basically just addresses the group as a whole and says, "State your business."
How long has he been listening at this point? How long have we been in the queue?
It's been long enough.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we're going to have this in effect while we are on him, while we are dealing with this.
At the end of the performance, choose a number of humanoids within 60 feet of you who watched and or listened to it, up to a number equal to your charisma modifier, minimum of 1. Each target must succeed in a wisdom saving throw. Okay. I'm going to roll this out in the open.
Yep, that's going to be against a 14. 13, sorry.
Is this something we can add Bard inspiration to?
He seemingly is largely unaffected by it.
Well, that's fine.
However,
Right. Go on.
what is your charisma modifier?
+3.
Yeah, weak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I am actually 1 point short of Ginger's minimum roll system.
Damn.
It seems as though the effect seems to have failed on the person dealing with your party directly. However, there are a pair of underlings that you get the impression are there for dealing with effectively the less the less difficult cases, like cases of just simply taking note of who is already given access and things of that nature. You have a few extra eyes on you.
Right, can I include them in it as well?
Yeah, you absolutely can, and both of them you can tell you have you've achieved a successful charming of these individuals.
Perfect. Guys, do your thing.
Okay, I'm going to turn to Az and go, this is gotta go. This is your thing, dude. What are we
Yes.
here for?
Well, what is our business? Our business here is to meet with the menagerie, the wizards. We have this rare arcane piece that we've come across that needs to be deciphered. Something to do with the astral plane.
Oh, is that right?
I'm gonna chip in and offer a bit of an advantage if there's a role here, and go. You see, my friend here seemed to be channeling something, and came to scribble something down, and it seems to be some sort of recipe to conjuring something in a different astral plane. No, we are just mere players, foolers, musicians and entertainers, and it is beyond our ken of understanding. But we think that someone here might be deeply interested with this.
All right. So basically, you're a bunch of folks who dabble with magics, and something weird happened, and now you're looking to get it looked at. Is that about sums it up?
That sums it up rather nicely. Yes, absolutely. You stick a pin in it, so to speak.
Aye, we get plenty of that kind of stuff coming through. Are the menagerie expecting you?
I don't know. Does this sort of thing happen often? Do they have any scryers, people that tell the future? In which case, I suspect they might. If not, probably not.
Aye, indeed, they do have that kind of thing.
Oh,
We
they may well
occasionally
be.
get advanced word in these kinds of circumstances, but as far as I know, we haven't had anything such. Give me a moment. I'll consult with the records. You lot can stay over in that spot right there, and he directs you over to what effectively amounts to a horse pen. There are no horses in it, but roughly equivalents.
Can I? Hold on a second. Give me a moment. I have an idea.
No.
Can I just sort of suggest that? But that's already taken. And casting minor illusion, put a horse in there, and then raise an eyebrow and smile.
I'll cast another minor illusion to have it neigh.
You were able to create a convincing sounding neigh, followed by what is very obviously a 2D horse in the pen. You were able to very effectively draw a double take out of the man. At which point he looks back at you and goes, "Ah, that's so good. I've seen that one before, but it always gets me. I'll be quick.
Thank you, sir.
And he makes his way into the interior, seemingly giving out a few orders for the other people who were charmed by Kiki to keep an eye on you, which they do exactly that. They keep an eye on you. Very positive advice.
Yeah, I'll mention to them, like, we really need to get in and do this. We've got a gig we've got to be going to soon. We don't have time to be messing around too much here. You guys couldn't slip us through to something. I mean, we can get you tickets.
We'd love to be able to let you through, but it'd be my job if I went against the orders of the boss.
Imagine if
Surely you can put in a good
doesn't
word
let
for
us
us.
through, and the wizards miss out on reading the strange sigils that they want to see. That could be your job too.
Just wait for the boss to get here, and they won't be long. Don't you worry about that. He says as he as he seemingly regretfully orders you to go back over to the what I'm going to call the pen.
No problem. I will set up a minor stall and create another minor illusion where I attempt to arm wrestle a small butterfly and proceed to lose.
While we're waiting, could I use Song of Creation to create a comfortable sofa for us to sit on while we're in this pen?
Yes, you absolutely can.
Okay. As long as it's worth less than 60 gold, I think that's my limit at the moment. Yep. So yeah, I will create a comfortable sofa for us to sit upon while we watch Trig fail to wrestle a butterfly.
Yep.
You do attract a bit of attention from the various people either making their way past or making their way through. You appear to have effectively set up a impromptu street performance of sorts.
I will make sure that the horse is sat on the arm of that sofa as well.
That will require the constant maintenance of a minor
Does anyone
illusion.
have
when it sits on the
instrument?
When it sits on the sofa, I'll minor illusion, that squeaking noise a couch makes when it's being crushed by a horse.
Hey, depending on the amount of gold quality that goes into the sofa, it could very well make that noise regardless for everybody sitting on it.
It's worth 60 gold.
Yeah, it can be worth up to 60 gold. It doesn't necessarily have to be worth.
It could be worth
okay, fair enough.
5 silver.
The fanciest
one. But I'm going to be leaving this very fancy sofa that you would otherwise perhaps find in a royal suite behind in the stall when we're done.
Yes, but it's going to disappear fairly promptly.
In 3 hours?
Well, of course it's going to disappear. It's a really fancy couch that he's just laying around.
That is true.
Some shifty dwarf making off with it down the street and suddenly goes, poof,
Yeah,
vanishes.
the question is, does it look like it fits, or does it look like someone's done some very expensive fly fitting?
It looks as though somebody has pulled a very expensive leather upholstered sofa and just plonked it out in the open, there is a severe risk of rainwater damage to such an otherwise exquisite piece of furniture. But only about 2 or 3 minutes after you conjure the sofa and make yourselves comfortable, the man in the thick gold armor makes his way back out to you and says, right, well, funny thing happened, actually. Just as I was going to inquire on your behalf, a message came through and basically requested that people of your descriptions be allowed through. We call this kind of thing Providence, so congratulations. You're allowed in.
Splendid.
Just do be Do note that you will be observed as you make your way around the university areas.
I would hope so. I do my best performances when observed.
Aye, I'm sure you do. Now,
And
go ahead in.
we always
Go ahead
appreciate
in and-
security.
Go ahead in, and if you can, try to make your way out through the same gate that you came through. It just makes paperwork a little bit quicker, and you'll be able to be on your merry way a little bit quicker.
May I ask you, who was it that that said we should? Did they give a name as who we should go see?
They didn't, but
Okay.
there's a fellow that occasionally gets in touch with the gates, and well, it'll become clear once you meet him.
Well, I suppose as we go, I'm gonna thank him for giving us a very comfortable place to sit while we waited.
Aye, he says with a look of mild bemusement. You get the impression that it's less confusion and more that he recognizes that some magic occurred in order to make this sofa here, and he's impressed at the quality of the sofa that was magicked into place.
By the way, I've left a picture of what I created in the chat.
Yes, it's very small.
What, the sofa or the image?
The image.
Yes, you can click on it to make it bigger.
Yes, you can, but that doesn't help with the resolution. But in either case, I get the
Actually, you click on
impression-
it makes it smaller.
Wait, what? Yes.
Yeah, you've got to open it in original to make it actually of a decent size. But yes, as you make your way through the gate, you are let me think. Give me perception checks. Or arcana checks. Your choice.
Can we all inspire each other for these?
Inspirations
inspire
have to be available to be used prior to me requesting the roll.
Ooh, okay.
What was that?
Good
Perception
bargain.
or Arcana?
Perception
Yes.
or arcana, your choice.
Mildly better at perception, but not great.
I am actually equal on both. I should have taken the opportunity to roll Arcana, because that never gets...
Yeah. Okay. I would say Motch and Essig, you two are able to gather different pieces of information as you pass through this region. Starting with what Essig is able to pick up on, as you pass through, you feel what is best described as a sudden and unexpected change in air pressure. If you're familiar with the sensation of stepping into a large building with a distinct increase in pressure on the inside of the building compared to the outside, it's that kind of sensation. It's like you've just stepped into a new environment. With the Arcana check that Reeve is able to muster, however, you're able to get a little bit of additional information on this. You also notice that there's a change, and in that change, you're able to parse out the information that it appears as though there was some kind of magical effect that either concluded or perhaps started, or there was some level of difference in a magical effect upon passing through. Jess, I presume that unless you explicitly state otherwise, that this information is shared with the party. And from that point onwards, you find yourself in what was previously a fairly upkept and well-maintained area, passing through into what can best be described as an exceptionally well-kept and well-maintained area. Whereas previously the streets were clean, and now they are practically immaculate, and even the flagstones that make up the ground on which you walk on are seemingly bound together in such a way that there are no discernible cracks or even joints connecting them, with the floor appearing to be made of what can best be described as a continuous strip of marble. You've definitely just entered into the upscale region of the city.
This is rather marvellous.
Indeed it is. Continuing on forwards, you see that there is now considerably less people going to and from with whatever business they may have. There's a distinct increase in the number of people wearing various uniforms. One of which is more of the flowing wizardy style affair. Another design that you see is more of a kind of form-fitting, almost leather attire kind of look to them. Almost like armor, but not quite. And a third design which appears to be far more utilitarian. With varieties of pockets and various other bits and pieces attached to them, with a noteworthy increase in the amount of metalwork, clasps and things of that nature. The noteworthy thing being that these clasps appear to be made of the same material that the fellow's plate mail was made of earlier, the stuff that looked like gold. At this point, I would say each of you can give me a history check to see if there's any additional information you can parse out from this.
I am not very familiar with this area.
Grinto, can I use this to help with my history?
Not in this particular case, no, because it isn't stonework, it's metalwork.
Oh, fair.
History.
Well, would you look at that?
Tell me everything from the beginning of time.
Essig, I will give you a decent chunk of information on this. The material that you are looking at is stuff that you have seen previously. However, in a completely different context to what you have, to what you're seeing is in use for right now. And this appears, at first glance, to be the same material that was found in A, the grill that was available on Jake's boat, and B, the wire-like substance that is making up the streetlight, or the interior of the streetlight, that Cardgar vandalized.
Yeah,
With
you have to
the
use such an
natural
ugly
20...
word for it.
What was that?
Did you have to use such an ugly word for it? I prefer the word investigated. Thoroughly.
Indeed. You
But with the
did
natural
thoroughly investigate it. And you also took home some homework as well.
Yes.
But yes, in addition to that, I will also give Essig the additional scrap of information that something occurs to him from his time as a long-lived entity and his travels. He will have a connection will spark in his mind as he realizes that, oh yes, over the last however many years, the dwarves have recently been making heavy use of this of a new alloy, and you can only assume that this alloy appears to be whatever this gold material is. It's the only thing that makes sense. They don't have access to that much gold, after all.
Hmm.
Just out of curiosity, We all know what copper is, yes?
Yes, copper is a fairly common material. It is found in
Please.
Yeah, please.
coinage.
So we're not mistaking a shiny yellowish metal for another shiny yellowish metal, are we?
No, there is one
And a fool would
very
do that.
distinct. There's one very distinct difference between this material and what you might suspect to be brass, and that is this material, when viewed in very dark conditions, appears to ever so slightly produce its own light. Trig, what are you doing? Are you filing your nails?
No,
Fine.
I'm sharpening my knife. I'll stop being a psychopath.
Right, okay.
I'm trying to get a mirror finish on the blade.
Okay, fair enough.
Requires very, very, very high grit.
I've got some one
Just
grit.
the,
Not want one grit. That is called a rock.
Yeah. So this material that you've seen dotted about here and there, it appears as though whatever the dwarves are using here, it seems to be fairly ubiquitous in its usage. It being used both in apparently suits of armor, fixtures for clothing, light fixtures in public settings, street lights, things of that nature. Whatever it is, it appears to be fairly useful. But that said, you continue making your way through, and you eventually get to a kind of, what's a square that's round? Because that's what
Circle.
this is. Sure, let's go with circle. You see a circular. You see a circular region in which there is a central water fixture, a large fountain of sorts, with a path that both leads around and through it, leading off to three different regions within this area. At the end of these roads, you can see that there are these large, impressive-looking institutions. One of which appears to be a blindingly white structure, almost as though the entire thing is made from pure calcium carbonate. That's chalk, by the way, from the color. Another one appears to have a much more utilitarian, almost brick-looking color to it, with the muddy browns and oranges one might expect from such. And then a third, which appears to have no particular color scheme in particular, but instead has a surprisingly squat look to it, being very large and broad in its construction, rather than having the more impressive high-rising structures that seems to characterize the other two establishments. And when I say establishments, these are considerable building complexes that you're looking at here.
Okay. Is there someone waiting to meet us, or are we supposed to just wander aimlessly?
Well, you get the impression that from the information that you've been able to gather so far that you should be heading towards the Grand Menagerie, but you're unsure as to which is which. There are a variety of people walking around. You could always ask for directions. Or you could just simply pick one and you ask the nearest person. Right. See a human fellow. He's wearing the more utilitarian looking uniform I described earlier, and presumably you ask him which one is the Grand Menagerie.
Yes, we're expecting the Grand Menagerie. Can you point us to the right building?
He gives you a smile and says, "Sure thing. It's over that way," and points towards the squat-looking structure.
Okay. Unless anyone disagrees, let's go there.
He
Fun.
makes his way along that way too and begins to engage you in conversation, saying, "You don't look like the usual sort. What are you coming for?"
Now, you've got a good eye, that's for sure. We're coming to get a piece of writing translated, something about the astral plane. We've been expected,
Oh.
haven't we?
Right, okay. Ah. You know what? I bet that that Lysander will be the one looking to talk to you. He's a planes hopper. He likes all of his astral plane stuff. You said you're expected. Were you expecting to be expected?
Well, yes.
Definitely, Lysander. Yep. So, basically, just go in the big door. Once you're there, talk to the woman at the desk. Say you're here for reasons that you don't quite get. Show whatever it is that you've got to show, and well, the fact that you've gone through the gate basically means that you'll be good to go. Just don't cause any trouble, and I'm sure you'll be good. He slaps you on the back and turns a corner and seemingly heads off in a direction that's not quite in line with where you're headed. And as you continue along your path, you do eventually make your way forwards towards a large, grand foyer-looking structure through an open doorway. You can tell that the doors, whilst closable, are rarely done so, and appears to have a more of a, like, you know, the grand doors that go on the front of cathedrals. It's that style of open doorway. And you make your way inside, and there is a elven woman who is sat at the front desk. She looks up from what she's doing as you make your way in, seemingly having her attention brought to you by you merely being within her presence, and smiles warmly in the direction of your party.
I nudge Trig and say, I think this is your moment to shine.
Perhaps. Good afternoon. I'm Bobby. These are my associates. We believe you were expecting us.
Quite possibly. You look like the adventuring type. Why is it that you come here? I can point you in the right direction.
Do I still have Cardigar's mad scribblings?
Unless he's taken them away from you, I would say so.
I assume that I was carrying them, but I'm happy to pass them to you.
Pass them to me, and I will show them as well. My friend seemed to be capable of challenging some, I don't know, higher powers, shall we say? Earlier, seems like
There was definitely some spirits involved.
he's hit upon something that is beyond our understanding. I mean, like to dabble occasionally, the odd bit of illusionary magic and so on. You know,
She
Bards.
takes a look at the paper and immediately pulls out a pair of spectacles that, as she brings them to her eye, you can see a flash of magical light go over the lenses for a moment, seemingly activating. And as she does so, she takes a look at it and turns it the other way round and then to the side and gives a huff of impressment as she says, "Yep, I've got no idea what that is."
No, I think it's some sort of recipe or something to do with creating higher planes, pocket dimensions, something weird like that. I'm not sure. It's a bit beyond my abilities.
She cocks her head at you and says, "Comprehend languages?"
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. That
Well,
kind of
I'm
stuff
talking
isn't
to you,
really-
right? Oh.
Yeah, she looks at you and gives a sensible chuckle before saying, Yeah, comprehend languages is great for dealing with stuff that's been written by people who think like yourself and me and other people who, you know, live in this plane of reality. It's not great for dealing with languages that are based on having weird stuff with their minds.
I know, that's why I'm here, because I got the feeling that I might know something about it, but you know, this is heavy stuff. I'm good at going.
Yeah,
This restaurant sells steak, even though I don't understand the language and maybe I'd order some nice food. But this is different.
Yeah, so if I had to guess, and well, this is just a guess, ye- how did this happen? How did this happen?
Well, my friend
Well,
here likes the occasional drink and had a drink of something that most people. Well, I had some before and it really didn't agree with him, but he seemed to get on with it quite well. And now he seems to start the morning with it all of a sudden.
I was feeling inspired.
Interesting.
We might need to do something about that in the
I was
future.
feeling inspired. Let's say the spirit spoke to me.
It's yeah, 40%.
Weak.
As you're saying this, she's nodding along, seemingly almost spacing out, if you will, before saying quite suddenly, "Right, there's someone on the way to come and get you." And she gestures to a small selection of chairs over to the side, and moments after your seats, your asses hit the seats, an elderly looking, what appears to be an elf man, or perhaps half elven, immediately makes his way in your direction, and well, he's got the crazy hair. Think Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Nice.
Yep. And he looks at you all and he says, "Who's got the thing?"
That would be me.
"Come on then." And he turns on his heel and begins walking off.
Okay, we follow.
Oh God, what if this is the instructions for a flux capacitor?
Indeed.
Anyone got a DeLorean? Oh wait, I can create a DeLorean as long as it's worth less than 60 gold.
A DeLorean is. I mean, most DeLoreans these days are not worth much more than 60 gold
Yeah,
because
they're
most of them are
just-
scrap.
Yeah.
But you got a good one in working condition that actually drives more than 10 miles an hour. They could be worth quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, so all you need is to spend 60 gold on making the time traveling DeLorean, and then another 6,000 gold on making the uranium to power it.
Yeah, and then you can make
I-
billions of gambling.
I can create uranium. I never even thought about it. Yeah, I should be able to.
Not much of it, though.
Yeah, and it probably wouldn't be purified or refined.
Why can't I create it?
Vulgar uranium. It's
Yep.
unrefined. Summon uranium, it starts radiating curse words.
Yeah. So the individual that you're following is a tall and slender individual, about the same height as Essig, but with apparently considerably less muscle mass. You can tell that he doesn't put a particularly large amount of effort into his appearance, and this is most evident from the fact that his facial hair is unkempt and his head hair is even more so unkempt.
Facial
Although,
hair on an elf?
At least, indeed, facial hair on an elf. It's a light amount of bearding. You suspect that there's probably a decent chunk of human in there somewhere.
Certainly been a
In either
decent chunk of human in his mum.
Yes, that's how he was made.
Yes.
But anyway, it doesn't take you long for him to lead you into a region where, as he opens a door and steps through, You are immediately taken aback by the fact that he just fucking vanishes. He's gone. He stepped through the door, and the only thing that you could see on the other side of that door is an inky pitch blackness.
Arcana.
Yeah, 20 Arcana. You look at that, and clearly that's some kind of dimensional nonsense. He's probably just stepped into a pocket dimension.
I'm gonna poke at it, see if my finger takes any damage, and if not, I'm going to jump through. Well, no, not jump through. Walk confidently through.
I'm going to jump through and land in a sort of superhero-esque hands on my hips pose.
I'll just step through normally.
Well, I'll cover what happens to Cardgar first. As you go to poke your finger into it, you put your finger in and it goes in without issue. But then as you try to pull your finger out, it doesn't.
Rest in peace.
And
I will shrug and just confidently walk through.
as you confidently walk through, you find the rest of your finger is perfectly intact, and you're suddenly having an elven man looking at you with a knowing look as the rest of your party make their way through in the various... Yes, you probably are. And once the last of your party ends up coming through whatever this space is, the man looks at you all and says, "This is your first time stepping through a gate, isn't it?"
Yeah, no, there was one at the stable. I was in a while back. Yes, that type of gate, definitely. Magic gate, yeah.
Yeah. It's about what I could tell when he put his finger through without stepping in through the rest of it himself. It's one way. Once you've started, you have to finish the trip before you can turn around and go back. Stops things getting chopped up.
Yep.
Earthquake when you're halfway through and half your body just falls back.
Well, that's the thing. If you were to step through and there was an earthquake and you fell over, you'd only fall forward. Like I say, it's a safety measure. We didn't have those with early style gates. Terrible accidents. Many spilled intestines. Absolutely awful.
Funny.
Mind I, you can call me Lysander. You probably know that already. You've got something. Put it on the table. I want to see.
Phrasing.
I was going to say, I run over there and whack my codpiece on the table and then go, "Oh, you mean this? Sorry."
If you actually do that, there is a shocking lack of surprise on his face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As you bring out the paper, he takes a look at it and he says, "Oh, fascinating. Right." He looks over the lot of you and says, You all do magic?"
Yeah, we
A bit. We dabble.
Just for the sake of it, I have my minor illusion, my own voice behind him saying no.
I will minor illusion the aforementioned horse that we were playing around with earlier to be behind him saying the no. As it a bit.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
This is what magic is for.
Yeah.
You get the impression that he's either dealt with a lot of magic users, or he has some kind of ability to almost literally sniff out magical potential in people. Before it goes any further, he says, "Which of you is responsible for this?"
I still am pointing at him.
Wait, I pointed Trig.
It was I.
Yeah, I pointed Cardigar. I was like, I understood it. He wrote it. He was drinking. What was that stuff you were drinking? It was. We tried to.
That's a question, actually. Ginger, that bottle of stuff. How much is it worth in total?
since you have a history with alcohol and alcohol-related substances, you would guess that the whole bottle is probably worth somewhere in the realm of at least 200 gold. More if it's has to be imported, which, according to the man who served it to you, it was.
Okay. One shot was 1 gold piece, which is probably also trumped up so he makes a profit on it. So would I be able to make a small amount of this on demand?
You strongly suspect that there are probably ingredients that you do not have access to.
Slightly magical as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, I can only do non-magical, to be fair. All right, fair enough.
What was it called though? Because can I remember what it was called? Can't actually remember. It was. Hold on. Did we
It was
write it
Desert
down?
Night or something.
We didn't write it down.
I ordered it this morning, so I assume that Codgar knows what it's called.
It's called Vapors of the Desert.
That's it.
All right. Yeah.
We will
I had some help
relay
on
that
the
information as well.
The spirit vapors of the desert.
As you say this, you see as he nods and he says, "That makes sense." And you didn't you heard the right kind of voices then, I presume.
Are there wrong kinds?
Oh, loads. But looking at that, you didn't hear any of the bad ones, which is good.
I mean, I drank some the other night and it did horrible things to me. I was not having a good time with it.
He squints at you as you say that, and he says, "Explain carefully what you heard."
Me
don't remember. I ended up on the floor, really kind of hallucinating a bit.
He steps towards you, Robert, and he says, "Elaborate." You can tell he's serious.
Yeah. I will tell him everything I can remember, but it was a few days ago now since we actually did that episode, and I don't remember as well as Robert would. But I'm not going to hold anything back.
So if you just go ahead and spill the beans to him,
yep,
he will step back, he'll stroke his beard, and he'll say, "You shouldn't touch that stuff anymore."
Yeah, that
extra-dimensional entity tried to push. Extra-dimensional entity tried to use you as a conduit to push into this reality. It's if it had succeeded, you would be dead.
Had some really good music in there, though.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the Vapors of the Desert. Over in Akavia, there is a species of insectoid creature that has developed a venom of sorts that, upon injecting you with it, gives you effectively the ability to access the astral plane, but you can't help it. It just kind of shunts your soul out for a while, and then it eats your body, and then you're dead. These Vapors of the Desert, it's designed to partially induce this effect. It creates a bridge. It makes your soul stop seeing things that aren't really there because they come from faraway places. That's the best I'm going to be able to give you because, honestly, well, you've seen what it's like.
Yeah. And this is the sort of stuff that's just lurking around behind bars around this town, huh?
Unfortunately, yes.
Awesome. Nice.
If enough money starts getting around, then people start buying things that they shouldn't have access to because they don't know how dangerous it is. You must have had a really bad reaction to it, though.
Well, I'm only little.
Yeah, and you had a. This is Dwarven City. You were given a dwarven-sized shot of the stuff, I bet.
Yeah, looks like it.
He rubs the bridge of his nose in clear and obvious frustration.
I point a thumb at Pipe and say, well, she had some and she was fine.
It was great music.
It was, wasn't it?
You could feel the music more than you could
Yeah.
hear it.
You don't remember any voices. I don't. I remember the sounds and maybe a bit of colour, but mostly the sound.
I mean, the colours were a sound.
Yes. And the sounds were a colour.
Okay, I'll explain what that was. What you two were evidently able to experience, and what your friend here with the impressive facial hair did not, was how up to date with you with your gods? You know Arcanus?
Oh, we've done it somewhat, on it.
We know Arcanus, yeah.
21. Do I
Right.
know?
You do know Arcanus.
Yeah.
With a 21, you are able to quickly reel off the information that Arcanus is the reason why this plane of reality exists, and effectively his presence is a stabilizing factor that allows reality to exist in a state other than just pure chaos and unbridled energy.
Can I do it in the form of a song of sorts?
I mean, we've
You
got
see the man is entertained by the song, and then continues on saying, so in effect, what you were able to hear was basically the echoes of Arcanus. What that was probably an incomplete segment of what Arcanus was doing and or saying something along those lines during the creation of one of the many planes that he has made over the countless eons that makes up the universe. How long did it take you to get through this? To which
hour or
you
so.
would know that. Yep. He will just simply say, "Yeah, that sounds about right." Okay. This is part of an echo. This would have been generated as part of a years-long process of creating the individual laws of physics that dictate the creation of some plane or another. This probably relates to something specific. It probably relates to something generic. Honestly, who knows? You've to put this into context, this would be like a single opening note to a song that you would expect to take several minutes to complete. It's very incomplete information, but possible to match it to something given sufficient cross-referencing of information. How much do you want for it?
Well, can you instruct us on something we can do with it? Maybe combine it with a performance of creation?
To that, he almost looks offended. And then when you elaborate with performance of creation, he says, No. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. If you try to recreate this, have you ever shoved a bag of holding inside a bag of holding?
I've never had a bag of holding. What happens?
Uh-huh. Basically, a conduit to the astral sea is created, and a significant portion of infrastructure is lost. It's expensive and costly, and usually involves the deaths of many individuals. Highly recommended to avoid unless you are in dire straits and believe yourself capable of being shunted to a different form of reality with, in all likelihoods, no way of being able to return. Not for the faint of heart. Only
No.
ever done it twice myself.
We don't really. I mean, Dire Straits is good and everything, but they're not the same sound as we're looking for, really.
Oh yes, you're a performance lot, aren't you? No,
music
that wouldn't
reference.
work.
What? I don't mean to sound mercenary. You were suggesting we would sell this to you?
Yes. The menagerie is always looking for this kind of information. It's not a huge amount that we could do with, but with proper cross-referencing, we could probably use this to discover a new plane. That would certainly be a lot of money for us, but for now, that's a gamble. There's only so much we're able to see into the future for. You can see his eyes are twitching from left to right as cogs are whirring in his head. And eventually he pulls out a bag and reaches his hand far, far too into the bag for what should be physically possible, and pulls out a blob of something. It's gold, it's round, and he sets it down with quite a hard thump. It appears to be the same metal that you have seen being used in a variety of dwarven instruments so far.
Okay. Can I pick this thing up?
You can. And doing so reveals that it is definitely not gold from just the weight alone. It's nowhere near heavy enough for that. And as you touch it, you notice that, uncharacteristic for a metal, it is warm to the touch.
It will comment, ooh, warm, and not as heavy as gold, so this is not gold.
Is this your first time experiencing raw elementum?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Interesting.
Fun.
You leave that paper with me and you can have that. Business transaction.
Okay.
Simple as.
What would we do with this? I mean, can we, maybe make fretboards for our guitars and instruments with it, or something? What's it do? I don't know. I've never experienced this before.
I want to strum a chord while standing near to it to see how it reacts.
You do so, and it appears to not have any particular reaction.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, he looks at you and says, for the purposes of turning it into a musical instrument, I might recommend using it to make the bits where you would hold on to a given instrument. It makes for a good hand warmer, I find. Besides that, if you want to turn it into something for attacking things, daggers, swords, that kind of nonsense, you can get something pretty sharp with it. It's excellent for retaining an edge. It's a murder for machining it, from what I understand. Oh, you probably want to know what it's worth. That's about 80 gold's worth of elementum.
Why is it called elementum?
Alumentum with an A.
Why is it called element?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the guy who discovered it, and he's dead.
Is it particularly light, then?
Alumentum is quite light. You notice that as you hold it in your hands, it does seem to be producing this perpetual warmth, and you would estimate it to be it's a little bit lighter than steel or iron. Not quite as light as something like tin or aluminium or something along those lines. It's somewhere in the middle. What is noteworthy, though, is that it's smooth to the touch. You suspect that this is a material that this particular example of which it was probably melted and formed into this material, into this sample that you're holding now.
I'm going to pass it over to Kurdigo and go, dude, this is your mad scribblings.
Yeah, I'll take my hand. You say it's warmer than it's giving off heat, but how much heat are we talking about?
It feels to the touch like a hot water bottle that's been freshly filled.
Ooh. Warm then.
Ginger, just out of curiosity, do people in Yesvalor know anything about radiation?
Generally speaking, no.
Have I just been handed the elephant's foot?
Elephant's foot's a
You
little hotter
sus-
than that, but yeah.
You would suspect that if you had, there would be a lot more complaints. It is worth noting that the suit of quote-unquote golden armor that you saw that dwarf wearing earlier at the gate, it's almost certainly the same material.
And how long did they say they've been using it? Because I think you mentioned it's relatively new.
It's from your history check, you're able to ascertain that this was discovered about 20, 30 years ago. It's around the time that the Fire Iron Concordat was made, actually. The alliance between the humans, the dwarves, and the tieflings.
As long as it's not immediately dangerous, I suppose. Yeah. I'm just trying to think what we could do with it beyond maybe using it to boil water.
Well, you couldn't use it to boil water. It's simply not hot enough for that. You could use it to make comfortably warm water.
You imagination sometimes, dude, worries me. We can cut it into strips and decorate instruments with it. We could literally, they said you can make weapons with it. And apparently it holds an edge. It can be sharpened nicely. There's all sorts of stuff we can use it for, or sell it, or make stuff with, other than I can stick it in a bowl of water and make the water warm.
Although on that note,
sorry for thinking of perpetual motion machines.
on that note though, we could make a bathtub out of this that's got water that doesn't become cold.
A never cooling bathtub of water.
You are able to hear an indistinct tapping noise.
In a minor illusion, another tap that echoes that tap.
Yeah, it. After you produce the minor illusion that echoes the first tap, you see as the man who's in front of you, this Lysander, his foot is going.
You know what?
To be clear, I am looking at the party also, acting somewhat impatient.
Let's take his what do you call it? Alimentum? Did I say that right?
I'll type it out for you.
Thank you.
Alimentum.
And I'll ask if we come across any more fragments. Would you want them?
If you are able to conjure something along these lines, I will always be interested in, at the very least, taking a look.
By the way, where can we get one of those bags you've got there? I'm assuming that's a bag of holding right there.
Yes, it is. You can pick one up from the menageries wares, although you're not students here. No, don't forget about that. You'll have to go to one of the magical items vendors down in the main city, unless you're willing to sign up to the university, in which case you'll be given access to a wide variety of equipment if you agree to join us on some of our expeditions. As he says expeditions, you can tell he's trying to impress the idea upon you. He's being very unsubtle about it.
Expeditions, you say?
Wait, about what?
He's being very unsubtle about wanting you to effectively become employees of the university.
Carry out quests to other places.
I mean, we're
Yes.
we're more mercenary than employee, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, but a mercenary is an employee. Yeah.
The only difference between a mercenary and an employee is the regularity of their pay.
Yeah. You know, this might not be a bad idea, guys.
That ties us down here. That's what I'm saying.
This might not be a bad idea, though. This is the equivalent of a tavern freaking
patron
notice board. But with access to magical kit.
Right, well, yeah, if we're all interested, I'm not against a bit of adventure.
I mean,
I'm kind of indifferent on if we take up this offer or not.
fair enough.
I mean, adventure is a great way of coming up with new stories. Well, not even coming up with new stories, just experiencing them.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
can turn those into more songs.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
riches and money and stuff.
Well, what's the pay?
He looks at you for a moment and then thinks and then says, "Oh, yes, that's the kind of thing that bothers you people, isn't it?"
Well,
Honestly, I'm
not sure how
incredibly
they-
against this
that.
job.
I'm really not sure how to respond to that.
You can tell that he was expecting a variety of questions, but somehow that wasn't one of them. And then says, "It depends on what you end up doing."
Of course.
Hang on. Do you know what I mean when I say expeditions?
You're talking about, going to strange places, finding strange things, maybe fighting off strange monsters to recover strange things. Yeah?
Yes, exactly that.
I mean, dare
And
I
when I
say
say
it,
strange, when you say strange places, you don't understand how strange these places are. And I am referring to locations that would best be described as borderline nonsensical.
borderline nonsensical is where most of us live most of our time.
Does sound quite fun.
I mean, guys,
And
are we up
you
for
know,
this?
if we get into something like this, and it's as fun as it sounds, then Khadgar will be able to experience these things firsthand, rather than having to drink for them.
Takes off the fun out of it.
Interesting stories, to tell more wenches. Impressing the ladies is always it's always nice to have something to impress them with.
The man holds up his finger for a moment, implying that he wants silence. And then he steps over to Khadgar and he says, "Would you be willing to take some of those vapors and imbibe them whilst within the astral sea?"
Can I do an insight on that to see if I'm basically being asked to make my head explode?
I think you're being asked to MK Ultra yourself.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like that.
How do I feel with the 17 about his suggestion?
I'll put this into analogy for you. You have revealed the fact that you are somehow capable of understanding radio transmissions despite not having access to any equipment, and are now being asked to put your head inside a transmission disc.
Are you familiar with what Alex Jones occasionally refers to as astronauts?
Yes.
No.
They are a group of apparently government agents that take very, very, very large amounts of drugs to converse and discuss with said clockwork elves, and discuss the meaning of life, the universe, and everything.
Sounds a good bit of work if you get paid for it.
It's terrifying.
And
It is the dark side of those stuff. But yes, this is what this sounds like to me. I think you should do it.
I mean, it kind of sounds like fun, but I ain't paying for the drink if this is what we're doing.
I think you're misunderstanding
If you-
the detail.
If you say that out loud to him, you will see a toothy grin spread across his face. He's
Well,
just,
that's not
he's just looking at
disconcerting.
you. He's just looking at you expectantly.
he's pregnant.
That's
Sure.
very disconcerting.
It's a pregnant pause.
Indeed. Oh, can I
She
just
gets it.
ask how many of us are in for this? Because this sounds like
I won't refuse it.
An obvious plot hook. To be honest.
I mean,
Okay, let me
I think it's a distraction.
Let me explain to you from a very meta standpoint what this is. There are a variety of people in the setting of Useful Law who have access to opportunities and various other bits and pieces that allow you to take the adventure in entirely unexpected directions. There are some people that you can speak to that would cause the campaign to devolve into effectively a game of politics and intrigue. There are other people that you can talk to who would hire you on as mercenaries to go committing espionage and other forms of minor acts of war against enemy nations. You can go exploring the oceans, exploring the wilderness, or just hanging around in taverns and playing music. What this man is inviting you to do is sign up to a program that would effectively have you go exploring the outer realms, seeing what there is to see, bringing back what you can, and facing the consequences of such, both positive and negative.
I mean, I think we're up for this.
I mean, I'm
Yeah, you know
definitely
what?
game.
You know what? Let's do it.
Got a
in
few things
safe
we need
and
to sort out before we go off. But yeah, I'm game. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, look. I think this is very much a YOLO moment. You know, the swallows of adventure are calling.
Uh-huh.
That much is very true. This is very much a if you decide to agree to this, this is going to be a complete 180 of the direction of the campaign that you've experienced so far.
We have to walk back where we started. We're getting on the boat again.
Well,
Hmm.
maybe. When would we be
We
needed to
have
start?
already fought. We have already defeated extraplanar creatures.
Yes.
You have?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we done battle with dark stars.
I'm going to show him one of the quills that I still have. I still have 6 of them.
And I've got my fishing rod.
As you show him the quills and mention the name Dark Stars, you see he becomes ever so slightly disinflated. And he examines them and says, yes, this was most definitely an artifact that was drawn from one of the demons of Charybdis. Well done. Where did you encounter this thing? Somewhere on our plane, I presume.
Yes, it was up the
Yeah,
river
the river's up
nearby
north.
thingy. Back
And near the
where
mountain, wasn't it?
yeah.
There's a look of minor concern as you say river. As he says, that's very unusual. Why would
Ask if he's got a map. And
We
I can
thought it
point
was
out on the map.
unusual too. Yeah.
You guys have a map.
True.
And
Yeah, let's
as
get the
you
map
point,
out and show him.
It's like we met up with Reeve here and at this village, and we got onto a boat after doing a bit of a gig there, and we came down here and we got to about this point here where we decided to kip for the night. And at that point, then, as we were kind of setting up camp, we kind of encountered this dark star thing, seemingly trying to eat a deer. At which point we found it was then trying to eat us. So we killed it. We basically mocked it to death. Took the piss out of it until it cried and died. Plus there was a bit of stabbing too.
I do apologize. I just had to do a bit of fiddling around with things on the back end. Did that look weird to you guys, or did you just not see anything?
New map?
I mean, we've changed to the world map.
Yes.
Yes, I've just changed you back over to the world map. But there was some weird fiddly stuff that I had to do first.
No, just
No, I didn't see anything.
New map happened.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah, as you point out to him the circumstances under which you fought it, he looks at you and says, "That's very concerning. I will have to investigate that further, but thank you for bringing that to my attention. I understand that this is something that you are all interested in, but also concerned about. Take your Elementum, stay within the University District for the next 2 days, make your decision. If it's a yes, come back to me. You will be given proper entry. You will be cleared with all necessary personnel. If it is a no, I request that you leave the University District and not return until you have anything else that you feel as though may be capable of attracting my attention. Is that understood?
Seems
Oh,
fair.
don't we have a gig to do?
Well, we haven't actually arranged the big gig yet. That's still being sort of sorted out. We had a bit of a party last night. We should probably go and get our stuff and stay at the university. We do need to do the old con. I've written a bit of a pitch for that, in fact. But I think it's
What belongings do you have, and where may they be? They can be fetched if necessary.
all of our stuff is at the Hog's Head. Is it Hog's Head? Boar's Head.
Boar's Head, I think.
Boar's Head. Bull's Head. Boar's Head.
I'm not
We do
familiar
have a
with
gig.
this. And by gig, I presume you mean some form of gathering where you'll be performing with your instruments for large crowds of people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Understood. You can complete such a thing before agreeing to take part in some expeditions if you so wish. Although, I suppose the multiverse can wait.
I think we'd like that. Put in some work for that first, but yeah. Yeah, okay.
I believe unless there's anything else you would like to inquire from me, then I would ask you to leave and allow me to begin my studies of this curious artifact that you have just given to me.
Groovy.
Wow, your character talks like an old man for some reason.
Is there nothing?
No, I'm good. What about you guys?
I think it sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
Very
we
well,
could
you may
always
thank
hold
me for
the-
my time and please leave.
Okay, fantastic. Let's do that. Lysander, wasn't it?
That is correct.
Pleasure to meet you. I think we will be seeing a lot more of you in the future. You take care, sir. And we will
Let
leave.
us hope.
Jin, you've given a
Yeah.
character a name that's actually memorable.
You know,
I
I
know.
very nearly called him Alexandru, but that's because I've been watching that other D&D game.
I mean, you know what? I mean, I remember it because it's so close to Lythander.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But just as you make your way out through the dimensional gate that appears to be the entranceway to this man's office, for lack of a better word, you make your way out, a scrap of paper lighter and a large lump of metal heavier.
Mhm.
For reference, by the way, this thing is approximately, in terms of overall dimensions, it's, I think, small melon.
Okay.
There's enough material here that
Melon
you could
or different type of melon.
just standard melon.
Okay.
There's enough material here that you could fashion at least most of a light set of armor, or possibly several weapons if necessary. If you were to simply use it to gild a variety of musical instruments, depending on the nature of the instruments, you could very well in pretty all of your musical instruments, although the the potential material advantages of Alimentum would be arguably wasted under such circumstances.
Well, I mean, I guess as Trick said, this was my reward. One thing I am keen on doing is getting my AC up. However, if you guys want to make an argument for us doing it, upgrading our weapons instead, I'm all ears.
We're mostly magical in terms of the fighting we do. You seem to be more actually hitting things with heavy object than anyone else. I'm assuming we've now got digs in the uni. Is that right?
Okay, the circumstances are, if you make it known that you are wishing to collaborate with the menagerie in their work, you will be given accommodation, and you will also be given access to a limited supply of equipment that you could use to increase your chances of success given an expedition occurs. However, if you are still unsure, you will be politely asked to leave with the potential of being invited to return should you decide that you would like to go through with such a thing.
Well, I think it's a
I
very
think
good idea. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I think we're provisionally accepting under the provision that we need to perform our gig first.
Yes.
Our adoring public
Sounds
awaits.
about right.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have loose ends to tie up.
So should we'll tie up loose ends. We'll go back to the Hog's Head or whatever it's called. Do a night or two there, maybe, do the gig, do this con, which I've got a few bits of work that I've put together in terms of pictures and paperwork and so on. And that could be a good way of once we've done that, we might want to vanish, and vanishing into the university might be and then off to the multiverse might be as good a place to vanish off to as anywhere else.
Entirely possible. It can certainly be said that if you literally leave this plane of reality, that would certainly make things a little bit more difficult for the local constabulary.
Yeah.
Oh, serious crime spree first.
Yeah. So I think for now we want to contact Kiki's brother and sister team that were inviting us to go for a party with them or whatever, and sort that gig out. Is that the next thing on the docket, so to speak?
I think so. I will say it's already about half an hour past when I said I probably need to leave, and my computer has just overheated and shut itself down.
It is.
Oh dear. Well, I was about to say, if you guys want, I can wrap things up here with a little bit of additional information that you can percolate in your minds for the rest of the week.
I mean, I could easily go another half hour to an hour, but if we're done, that's fine too.
Same here. What do you guys want to do? Carry on without Kiki, or what?
I mean, if the next thing we're going to do is follow up on Kiki's thing, it would be a bit in bad taste not to have Kiki there.
Agreed. And other than that, it's the other thing after that is kind of essentially waiting for the con to happen, and or anything else. I've sent.
Okay, well let me just give you a few little bits of additional information for you.
Let's do that. Yeah.
So, first of all, upon leaving the university area in order to make your way back to the Hog's Head, you are soon contacted by a fellow halfling who, upon making contact with you, speaks to you in halfling, seemingly with the intention of, limited ears eavesdropping. And he informs you of two things. First of all, you have been given access to an important occasion that is coming up in the next 2 days, and that you should be able to use whatever assets you have in conjunction with a variety of additional pieces of paperwork that will be given to you at the time as this conversation and relay of information is taking place. Basically, you've been told that there is an auction taking place between a variety of important individuals, and that you are going to be one of the individuals taking part in that auction. And this is being held at the Cranley Manor, which is a piece of property owned by the Cranley Business Corporation. And that is the same individuals that invited you to what is presumably the very same do that you're about to con.
Right.
So for all intents and purposes, your party now has 2 avenues of access to the same event, and you now have advanced knowledge to this event. There are going to be a variety of wealthy individuals there, and there is also going to be plenty of opportunity to do some light thieving of potentially very valuable items.
Okay. Well, in that case, that we really do need Kiki to be there. I think that would be, very bad form to go ahead with that without Kiki's character. Ginge, I've just sent you something that I've been working on a little bit as far as a pitch that I was going to use for the con. As you know, it's based around a fake identity, which is...
How about we go over that in detail once the stream's over and Kiki gets ready for work tomorrow?
Yep, absolutely.
The last piece of information that you need to know is that you've been given a total of 5 sheets of paper that are magically imprinted in such way that by simply imposing your will on the paper, you can effectively tune what it says.
Ooh.
Psychic paper.
Similar in concept to Doctor Who's psychic paper, yes. Except instead of simply looking like it is, it actually physically manifests whatever you put onto them.
We change it at will as well, or is it fixed once we've set it?
Change it at will.
That's pretty powerful.
That's what 210 gold worth of investment gets you.
Okay.
So,
Right.
with that said, things are happening. Things are coming together. You guys have seemingly run into a wild opportunity for some interdimensional hijinks. Unless there's anything else anybody wants to cover, we'll call the session here.
I think so.
I wish everyone a good night.
Cool.
Good night, Kiki. Have a good day and work tomorrow.
Right, I will wrap the stream up at that point. As soon as I can find where I've buried that particular browser. There we go. Groovy.
So, with all said and done, I presume the stream has now concluded.
It has now concluded as of that moment.